Matt Johnson and Jay McCarroll have a great idea to have a grand show at the small Rivoli, but they do not have a date book, and they must decide how they're gonna do this with just a dream. So they go up to the CN Tower to skydive into the big old sky dome. When it doesn't work, they come up with a great idea to retrofit the RV and just go back in time. It's Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie. Yes, it's Back to the Future fanfic, but it's entertaining. Even if you don't know the show, it's Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie. Here we go. Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie is based on an apparently popular, or at least nichely popular, Canadian sketch comedy mockumentary thing that stars Matt Johnson and Jay McCarroll as themselves. And also Matt wrote and directed this, Jay wrote this, and various other people contributed to the story. I assume people that were part of the camera crew and people that were featured in this particular production. I want to say right now, I know nothing about Nirvana, the band, the show. Nothing. Absolutely jack shit. I'd heard about this from Amanda the Jedi, who is a very entertaining, very hilarious, and very, very good movie reviewer. I do want to say that. She's also very Canadian. I'm not knocking that. Not like she's ever going to watch this, so I don't have to worry. But she has praised this, so have many other people. I assume that there are people out there that know about the show, so if you know about the show and you're tuning in to see my opinions, or hear my opinions as it were, just know that I know nothing about this thing. Absolutely nothing. I went in totally blind, and I didn't even know this movie was actually going to be playing soon, but it was part of the Regal Mystery Movie package thing that they run occasionally. I actually was kind of hoping it would be How to Make a Killing, or it would be, I don't know, Pillion or something, but no, it was this. Actually, I was kind of tipped off that it was this because there was a Neon Studios trailer, the second or third, and fair warning for anybody that watches Regal Mystery Movies or AMC, Screen Unseen, or if Cinemark does this, I don't fucking know, whatever niche studios do that. Usually the second or third trailer will tell you what it is, not just based on the runtime, but, you know, they have a collection, they have a certain thing. I really analyze this shit way too much instead of just enjoying movies. That being said, let's talk about Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie. Basically, the idea is it's just Matt and Jay playing versions of themselves, and it's just an extended cut of their sketch mockumentary comedy stuff. It's quirky, there are entertaining moments, it is Back to the Future fanfic, essentially. It is like the Back to the Future film we never got, but earnest, and with some shots that honestly made me think, how the fuck did they do that? And I mean that with respect. I'm not knocking it, I don't find this movie perfect, it didn't draw me in as much as it did other people, but also, again, I'm not a fan of the show, because I don't know what the fucking show is. But there are some entertaining moments in this. Also, it's a breezy 95 minutes. It does get better as it goes along. It's maybe not one of my favorite movies of the year, but it is certainly entertaining and is certainly something that ones will enjoy. Now, is it going to find a huge audience here? I don't know. It depends how popular the show is. But there are some moments of earnest, good intentions all over this goddamn movie, in all honesty. Like, you can definitely tell this was a labor of love. And, again, there parts to this played on my fucking anxiety and my fear of heights. There were parts of this where I'm like, holy fucking shit. And it was a nice, simple story. There were some awkward moments as far as the comedy where I don't know if it's supposed to be unintentionally awkward or just it didn't hit because, again, not a fan of the show necessarily. But that being said, entertaining enough. It's going to be in theaters, I believe, wide this week, so please check it out if you want to. You might be surprised. I certainly was. I'm going to get into spoilers, what there is to spoil. 3, 2, 1, spoilers. There you go. So, basically, we start off with them planning to run the Rivoli, and basically, we have Matt. Matt's the one with the weird hat, by the way, just in case people didn't quite catch that. And I did like the home movie style stuff, where you see that actually was part of the show, and I think actually they used some parts of the 2007, 2008 show for the flashbacks, which, if that is the case, or they just use filters to make it look like that, that's pretty creative. I'm not necessarily certain, but they have some neat little camera tricks. The idea is they want to build up to get to show at the Rivoli, which, whether they're talented singers or not, who knows? I mean, you get to hear a little bit of Jay singing. I mean, unless that's somebody singing for him. Matt has boundless energy, and there's also this one funny point where after he comes up with the idea to get onto the CN Tower, which is really fucking tall, by the way. Really, really fucking tall. And dive onto the sky. Do they still call it the Sky Dome? I didn't think they call it the Sky Dome anymore. Sky Dome, by the way, where they hosted WrestleMania 6 and WrestleMania 18. Nevertheless, not Exhibition Stadium where Hogan and Orndorff had that outdoor show that gave Vince the idea for WrestleMania 3. Deep cuts for wrestling fans here. Nothing about Maple Leaf Gardens. A lot of Canadian stuff in this. A lot of people apologizing. I've never been to Canada. I've definitely never been to Toronto, so I don't know how accurate this is for Toronto or the environs. Toronto looks like a beautiful city. I know it has the Blue Jays and the Maple Leafs, and the Blue Jays have won championships more recently than the Maple Leafs, I believe. But anyway, basically Jay and Matt have this idea to go to the Rivoli. Rivoli. I keep wanting to call it ravioli. And get up to the CN Tower, skydive down, and they were going to. And they even had a point where, like, he got these pliers, and he was going to, like, cut something. It's a way to play into a bit a little bit later on, but like, oh, if you cut this wire, you'll be electrocuted. Also, there is this little gag about this, gun that shoots little, dart things that comes back into play a little bit later. But they do the dive. It doesn't work all that well. Great scene, by the way. Great stuff, especially with the cutting out audio of them screaming. But the roof closes. They mistimed it. So now they're wondering what the hell they're going to do. They have a giant RV in the back. How big is their backyard, and how did they store the RV back there? Never mind, it's fine. They basically end up retrofitting it. Well, Matt does. And Jay also has this idea of maybe going to a show in Ottawa to have his own music career. Because we start in 2008, and then by 2025 it's 2000 and late. And they aren't able to continue... they're really not able to continue their dream without a really big break, because it's tough to make it out there as a singer. It's a hard day. It's a hard life out there for a pimp. I think that's how that song goes. Now, Matt ends up creating this time machine, like literally. You build a time machine out of an RV, not a DeLorean, but he's only able to get it to work by spilling this drink called Orbits that apparently is like the prototype for bubble tea, because there's all these, little balls in it, which, I mean, I don't know if you actually could, are they balls of sugar? I don't know what this Orbits is. It does seem deliberately like 90s, though. I will say that much. But they had some that was on tap, but they didn't have another bottle, and because they end up, accidentally, he spilled that on there. Jay takes the RV to try to get away. He gets up to 88 miles an hour, or 88 kilometers, because Canada is what I almost said, runs on the metric system, because civilized countries actually running on things, as opposed to what the fuck I live in. They go to 2008, almost run into a cable car. Do they have cable cars in Toronto? I didn't think they did. But then we end up getting some comedy with them realizing what the hell is going on. They have to go get some more of this Orbits. They have to get into their old apartment. And then the older version of one has to talk to the younger version of the other. And also there's this underlying thing that Jay wanted to break out on his own. That's why he was calling the people in Ottawa. He wants to do his own thing. And Matt kind of gets a little bit upset when he finds out about this information. I'm glossing over some of the stuff that probably the finer details are just screaming at people, that are fans of the show. So some of y'all are probably screaming at me in the comments for skipping over things. Forgive me. I'm just finding out what appeals to me and what registered with me. And things go okay. They manage to get back, but a little bit, there's a little bit of a flummox. Suddenly Jay's gone. And it turns out that Jay now is this big old pop star because one thing that Matt did before he left the apartment, not talking about not changing anything. You shouldn't change anything. He ends up putting on there, racing the dry erase board, don't play the Rivoli, because he doesn't want to do this stuff. Then there's a band that was playing there before, this trio of guys that actually ends up becoming Matt's best friends because Jay now is a popular pop star. And there's a reason for this. Jay ended up actually, programming the thing a little bit. He took off somewhere, and because they changed stuff around and everything, Matt and Jay didn't play the Rivoli. Somehow Jay ends up basically changing stuff, and he ends up now becoming a mega popular pop star. So now he knows Matt, but they haven't been friends for that long. Matt's wondering who the hell these three guys are. A little bit of awkwardness. And Jay's enjoying the success, but also he realizes that, he's kind of living a lie because he's just basically trying to get into this life because he's tired of being held down by Matt, even though Matt is his best friend. And pretty much the gag that puts this over the top as far as Back to the Future fanfic is the time machine stuff. They're watching Back to the Future of VHS. Yes, kids, we used to watch shit on tapes that we had to rewind. It wasn't just instant streaming. My God, I sound so... It's also funny to think that 2008 was 18 years ago. My God. They did do a little gag where they were going to go back on September 11th. And like, oh, I'm glad they didn't go through with that. Sir, a second reference is... Anyway, moving on. Whole thing is, they, there's a divide here. Matt's really trying to get Jay to be on board with this stuff. Because Matt was successful, but Matt has a way to fix this possibly, but it's going to be a little tough. He ends up having to try to find more of this orbit stuff because he's got to spill this out, or spill it on the goddamn thing. Jay doesn't want to go back, so he kind of breaks the bottle, and now Matt's trying to remember these ingredients. So all this stuff's going on because Jay does eventually reunite with Matt, and the reason is remember the whole thing with the dart gun? Well, now it's all gold. And in royalty, he's like, oh, you guys didn't tell me you had one of these, and he shot a guy, not with a dart, with a bullet. He shot him in the head. Funny gag. Shouldn't have been funny, but it was. But anyway, now he's on the run, and the idea of how to fix this whole thing, the Back to the Future deal, is they're going to run an entire cord, a huge amount of eccentric. Google how high the CN Tower is, by the way. But because a lightning strike hit, and, that's like, they were like, oh, we just missed it by a little bit. We could have done something cool. Now they got to use that lightning strike to fix whatever's going on. So the idea is they're going to run this whole giant cord down from the CN Tower plug, and there's this, like, switchboard deal that they're going to plug it into. I mean, there are scenes in this where I'm like, how the hell did they get away with this? Because I'm not saying they had no budget, but this movie clearly was crowdfunded and made with love. So how in the world did they do this? It's incredible how they got it made. Fan of the show or not, it's incredible how they got this show made, or this thing made. The idea is Matt is going to help, going to try to help him and Jay get back. And we get this scene where Jay's kind of having to elude the cops, race in a goddamn RV. He's wondering what's going on with Matt. Matt even has to get a couple French girls to help him. Not that kind. It's not Blue's the Warmest Color or Portrait of a Lady on Fire. Portrait of a Lady on Fire, by the way, tremendous. You guys need to watch that. It's magnificent. He ends up realizing that the cord's about that much short. And then we have a flashback. By the way, we get occasional black and white stuff with, like, Matt hearing bits of the story, Jay hearing bits of the story. And hearing certain bits of information and everything. And there are funny moments in this. And it is nice, a nice thing about the power of friendship. But the idea is Matt is going to have to basically sacrifice himself because there's a cord. And he's going to use the pliers to basically be a conduit. Do that. RV gets sent where it's supposed to get sent, essentially preventing the fact that Jay shot a guy in the head, and the hat rolls along, so Matt's totally dead. But no, everything's suddenly fine, because we then get a little thing where the reason that some of this ended up working out is Jay had gone back, and Jay had, instead of don't play the Rivoli, he erased don't, and they said play the Rivoli. So now things I assume are working out. I don't know. That's about the best I can come up with for Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie. It's certainly an entertaining show. There is of course one line in this about the Back to the Future stuff. It's like, this is a copyright nightmare. If you're watching this in theaters, thank your lucky stars. And I think he said something about it because this may be the only screen that has that before they edit this stuff. It's entertaining. Again, it's for somebody that's not necessarily a fan of the show, because I don't know about the show. I maybe didn't go as deep on some stuff as some people wanted, but that's basically my thoughts. B+, entertaining. I saw some people really dogging this thing, calling it absolute shit. No, it's not the funniest movie of the year, but it could be for those that are fans of the show or those who really got into it. I was entertained. Even if it's not one of my favorite movies of the year, it's still entertaining. So yeah, B+. Agree, disagree what I said, like, share, subscribe, Twitter, Letterboxd, Blue Sky handles in the description. I'm John Rentlin. Until we go back to 2008 again, God forbid if we do, happy trails to you.